And welcome back, everybody. Been busy in New Orleans for that exciting finish yesterday where the Fitzpatrick brothers won their tournament, and Alex is now a full-time member on the PGA Tour, the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. Now to Miami for the Cadillac Championship, where Trump Doral, the Blue Monster, for the first time in a decade, will host a PGA Tour event again. And I also need to mention the Regents Tradition happening this week in my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama, and that'll be our next guest in just a minute. All this brought to you by our friends at Casa de Campo in the Dominican Republic. Go to casadecampo.com for the best family vacation you could possibly imagine. The golf is great, but the hospitality is incredible. All right, let's bring Steve Smith, the longtime director of golf at Greystone Golf and Country Club in Birmingham, Alabama. Steve-O, first of all, it's great to see you. I didn't realize 30 years has gone by this quick, Steve. Where the heck has time gone?
Wow. I'll tell you what, they had a little celebration at our staff meeting, and I was like, man, it kind of opened your eyes, when you see people in the room, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, but it's been a great, great ride here.
Well, I appreciate you coming on because I know this is a huge week for you, the membership, your staff, as the Regents Tradition unfolds. It's a Champions Tour major. So that'll be a lot of fun. But before we talk about that, Steve, I do want to go back because, I was in New Orleans this past week, your old stomping grounds, because you were an assistant at English Turn, a New Orleans Country Club before you came to Birmingham. Steve, I didn't realize you gave lessons to Archie, Peyton, and Eli Manning. Is that right?
Well, they might not agree with that, but we got to see Archie a bunch, but Eli, believe it or not, he was in my junior golf camp. So I can still remember him just kind of standing in the back, kind of quiet, and I helped Peyton one time for probably about 5 swings. I couldn't imagine anybody swinging a wedge that fast, but they were a great family. I loved having those guys.
Wow, that is really a neat story. What happened to Cooper? Did he not like golf or what?
You know what? Coop snuck out on me. I think when I got there, he was at Ole Miss, so I actually never got to meet him in person.
Okay.
So, but the other guys, I pretty much put him on the path to greatness.
Yeah, there you go. You got to tell everybody that the story will get better and better as time rolls on. All right, here we are in Birmingham, and before we talk about the tournament, the Mark Blackburn Golf School Academy, whatever you call it for Mark, is right there at Greystone. Mark's a great guy. Matt Fitzpatrick is I guess his star pupil right now, right?
Wow. I tell you what, between him and Justin Rose, Max is making a good comeback home. But yeah, golly, it's incredible. I mean, some of that stuff, they do such a great job of flying under the radar.
Yes.
Those guys will sneak in and they'll be back there with Mark for a little bit. He meets them a lot out on their events, but yeah, I tell you what, man, and Mark does a great job of meeting the needs of each one of them. That's what's so special, I really find, So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, 36 holes at Greystone. This week's tournament will be at the Founders, which I love. I love both sides, but for me, the Founders is more fun. But it is amazing, Steve, when I'm out on the PGA Tour and interview Matt Fitzpatrick and Holman and Rosie, they all talk about Mark, and I'm like, I live in Birmingham. I mean, we need to get together, right? These guys had no idea. It really is amazing how they fly in, work with Mark, and then fly out.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And then, one of the cool things is these guys are so nice. I mean, of course, they're there in a little different element, but I mean, it's just really neat to see the guys with kind of like, with their shield down and be able to kind of say, hey, whatever. You try to stay out of the way. You don't want to, get in the way of that. But yeah, it is pretty amazing when you think about it from where Mark's gone and where he's been. I guess he's got a new book out, type of thing. Yeah. So cool stuff.
It is cool. And for our viewers, Steve's wearing a jacket today. Normally it's a golf shirt. He's the director of golf, right? But his staff dresses up for what is a huge week at Greystone. Pro-Am Monday, Pro-Am Tuesday, the huge Pro-Am Wednesday when all the celebrity types, Coach Saban, Charles Barkley, et cetera, they all come out. Steve, you guys, you don't get a lot of sleep this week, do you?
No, it makes it a little tough. They do have it to where Tuesdays only practice rounds. Okay. So Pro-Am today, and then Wednesday is just hellacious. But yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky week. You do a lot of things. You go, really? We got to do what? But
it is. I try to tell people when Coach Saban shows up in the Pro-Am, and Barkley too, but really Coach Saban, it's amazing, isn't it? How many people want his autograph?
Oh my gosh. And I mean, police escort comes in, you hear the sirens going and stuff, and you're like, what's going on? But it truly is. I mean, the throng of people following them, and those guys do such a good job and just making people feel welcome, pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I remember when my youngest son went out and got all the autographs, and I bring Larry Mize over, Masters champion. And Larry says, "Let me see, young man, the autographs you got." And everyone was a football coach. There were no golfers. And Larry's like, "Oh, I get it. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama."
That's right.
Which is pretty funny. Well, Steve, tell us about the membership because, again, Greystone has hosted this going back to 1992, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
That's when I was a local sports guy at the CBS affiliate. Pretty amazing what the membership, they love it. They give up the golf course for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That says a lot about how much your membership loves the game of golf.
Yeah, and they really do. You know, a long time ago, they were trying to figure out, hey, is this something we want to continue on with? And then the actual tournament, it left. And then when it got the opportunity to come back, we had a bunch of new folks, you know, that had joined the club in the meantime. And man, rave reviews, and people just absolutely love it. Man, they get so excited. They're out here. The big thing is they think I'm doing everything. And I'm like, yeah, you go ahead. We believe that. But between the Event of Sports guys and Gene Hallman and his guys and George Shaw, the job that they do, it just makes it such a great community event. And people really, you know, they bring in a concert. They have the Blues Travelers coming in, and
wow,
you know, it's pretty special stuff. So you know, I see it from the inside out. So sometimes it's not, you know, quite the grand appearance you see from the member standpoint, but it's pretty special.
it is special. It was a Greystone for a long time. Goes to Ross Bridge, part of the Robert Trent Jones, I think, for 3 years. Then over to Shoal Creek. As it became the region's tradition, a major championship on the over 50 tour, and then back to Greystone. And I was so excited that you guys welcomed it back, Steve, because in my mind, and I've been there since the beginning, shows you how old I am. Gene Hallman tells me I'm maybe the only media person to cover every year since its inception, but I always thought it belonged to Greystone because of what you guys did at the beginning and how you roll out the red carpet.
You know, even though we had different managers that have done it, I think the tone was set early on with Gene and what those guys did and what they were trying to do here at the club. But yeah, you know, when it came back, there's a pretty good sense of pride and kind of like, hey, we wanted to get right where it was. You know, at one time they had like 27 of the, no, they had 30, all 30 top money winners were coming to the event each year, if not 29. So they knew they were doing something right. So it's been a good ride, and you know, there's every year you kind of build on it. You know, like this year, a perfect example. I was asking Sarah Patton, Sarah, what are they doing down on the range under that tent? She goes, oh, they bring their clubs in if they need them re-gripped before they teed off, and they're going to stamp their putters and stuff. I'm like, man, you guys keep coming up with some awesome stuff.
It really is. And, you know, it's funny, back in 92, and I will say humbly, I broke that story way back when that the tour was coming because all my connections in golf. And to see the names that came up there, Steve, I mean, that's back when Gary Player and Lee Trevino and Chi-Chi and Arnold Palmer were all playing, and it was, wow, what a tour it was, and they were all rolling to Birmingham. I remember that first year. George Archer ends up winning, former Masters champion. You guys hadn't even finished the clubhouse yet back in 1992. Nope.
Exactly. I think they were all in tents and everything at that time. I got here in 96, but so I always got to hear a little bit about it, but I was kind of jealous that I wasn't here for those early years because, you know, they were just kind of making stuff up as they go. And they were just, you know, they wanted to meet every need of every person. And that's what made them so special. You know, that was really good.
No doubt. They laid the groundwork for all the other Champions Tour events. There's no doubt about it. I think when they started doing everybody's dry cleaning, and then the wives were all given some special spa treatments, I think everybody around the country was like, wait a minute. I think Birmingham has something that we don't. So that kind of enhanced the tour. That was kind of fun.
I did. I remember talking to somebody's wife, and I was like, oh, so it's your first year? And she said, oh, yeah, Mrs. Trevino, she was the one that told her, this is the one your husband plays in because all the wives want to go. You know, I was like, I love it.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. All right, Steve, this week, though, I mean, it's going to be fun leading up to it. But in reality, Stuart Sink, Alabama guy, he's the best player on tour. I think he's certainly the favorite. Retief Goosen won in Atlanta, played great. Great to see the Goose back in the winner's circle. Zach Johnson is right there, too. So this is really going to be an ultra-competitive event, but I really believe Stewart is the favorite going in with the 5 par 5s, and he's the longest hitter on the senior tour.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's got an advantage.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I mean, Stewart's been here a little bit he's good friends with Chad over at East Lake, so they've come
Right.
over to play the course a little bit and have seen it. But most importantly, man, pretty much all from where they played, I think all the par fives are pretty reachable for him at his length, type of thing. So I think he's got, he's definitely maybe have a little leg up. I've been kind of following Ben Crane. Ben did well. He came in
Yeah.
second, the PGA. So, but it'll be exciting. I'm always amazed to see who kind of pops up, gets a little streak going, type of thing. Alex Checa, that guy just always impresses me. So
He loves Greystone, Alex
yes, he
Checa.
does. Yes, he does.
With those par fives, because those guys who hit it a long way still, they go to those par fives with irons in their hands, Steve.
Yeah.
Big advantage.
Exactly. So, and really,
right.
number 13 is probably the most dangerous one, just with the water just to the right of the green. The other ones, you can pretty much, hey, I can hit it down there and find myself an easy up and down. So it'll be good, though.
All right. Hey, before I let you go, I know you got to get back. I was working PGA Live this week. Julia Johnson, who was an All-American at Ole Miss, was our on-course reporter.
Oh.
And when I mentioned to her, because the SEC Women's Championship had been in Greystone for years, she said, Steve, I've been lucky enough to play Augusta a dozen times, but my favorite course in the world is Greystone. And you were watching. Did you fall out of your chair?
Oh, my gosh. I was in awe. I was like, I love that girl. That's amazing. I mean, just to be even announced it, hey, it's one of my favorite courses, but knowing where she's played, that's just amazing. So, of course, I sent it to you. I sent it to everybody I could. I was like, hey, y'all.
Yeah, I was on the set. And I said, oh my gosh, look, Steve just sent me this. So, good stuff. Now that was impromptu. That wasn't planned. So that's the best.
That was amazing.
All right,
good
Steve.
stuff.
We appreciate it, my friend. Thanks for taking the time, because I know you got to hustle back out and get this Pro-Am going. And I look forward to seeing you soon, my friend. Have a great week.
All right, Doug. Thank you so much. God bless.
God bless you.
All righty.